Hey guys, welcome to DevOps Pro English channel. In our last two videos, we explained the concept of variables and explored various data types. If you haven't watched those videos yet, please do so because understanding those concepts is crucial to grasp today's topic, which is count and count index in Terraform. So I assume that you have a good understanding of the concept of variables and you are fully prepared to learn today's concept. Let's get started with our learning journey. So far, we have learned how to create an EC2 instance on AWS using Terraform. But what if I tell you that we need to create not just one but multiple instances? Let's say we need to create 3 instances using Terraform. How do we accomplish that? We will go into EC2 instance configuration file. Copy the EC2 instance resource block 3 times, save the file and then run a Terraform plan to see if Terraform can create 3 instances for us. In the plan's output, we will observe that Terraform is going to create 3 instances for us. But while this approach works and our instances will be created, is this the standard way of doing it? Is this how it's done in the real world? So let me tell you that in the real world, it's not done like that. Here the concept of count parameter comes into play. With the count parameter, you can provision multiple resources from a single resource block. For example, let's say I want to create 3 instances using this single AWS instance resource. I can use the count parameter for that. To use the count parameter, you need to specify it within the code of the resource you want to provision, like count equals to followed by the number of times you want that resource to be provisioned. Or you can think of it this way, it determines how many times you want to run this resource code, because every time this resource code runs, it will provision one resource. For instance, if this is the code to create an AWS instance, and here I write count equals to 3, then this resource code will run 3 times and it will create 3 instances for us. So let's save this file once and then run Terraform plan. You might be looking at Terraform plan command's output that it's creating 3 instances for us with the instance type T2 micro. But you will notice that all 3 instances have the same name, which is my instance. In other words, it's creating 3 instances for us with the instance type T2 micro and all of them have the name my instance. However, let's say your use case is a bit different and you want to append a number to the instance name so that you can identify which instance is which. For example, it's creating 3 instances because we have set the count parameter to 3. In this case, you might want your instance name to be something like my instance -1, my instance -2, and my instance -3. In such a scenario, you can use the count index parameter. But please note that you can only use the count.index parameter when you have used the count parameter within your resource block. And just like we have seen with list variables, the index number starts from 0. Here as well, count.index starts from 0. Let's break it down in a simpler way. Right now, we have set the count parameter to 3 within the AWS instance resource block. And as we saw, when we run the Terraform plan, it's successfully creating 3 instances for us. Let's take a closer look at how simply setting count equals to 3 results in the creation of 3 instances for us. If you have previous knowledge of any coding language, you probably know about the concept of loops. A loop means running something multiple times. Similarly in Terraform, the count parameter functions somewhat like a loop. It allows us to run our resource block multiple times based on the value we assign to it. And as we have set count equals to 3 here, our AWS instance resource will run 3 times. In the first run, the value of count.index will be 0. In this next run, it will be 1. And in the run after that, it will be 2. The crucial point here is that count.index starts from 0. So what this tells us is that we can use count.index to obtain the value of how many times our resource is being run, and we can use it to append to our instance names. To use count.index in the instance name, we will place it after my instance with a hyphen, because we want our instance names to be like my instance-1, my instance-2, and so on. And since count.index is a variable and we want to append it to my instance, we will use the $sign and put it inside curly braces like this. However, just writing count.index will result in the name of our first instance being my instance-0, and the others will follow with sequential numbers, because the next one will be 1 and the one after that will be 2. So we will simply add 1 here to ensure that our first instance name is my instance-1, and second one is my instance-2, and third one is my instance-3. Let's save the file and run the Terraform plan command to see if Terraform is producing the output we desire. As you can see in the command's output, it's creating 3 instances for us with names my instance-1, my instance-2, and my instance-3. And they will all have the instance type T2 micro. This is exactly what we wanted. It's creating multiple instances for us and allowing us to change their names so we can easily identify which instance is which. But now let's make this a bit complex. Currently we are creating multiple instances using this resource, and their names are quite simple with just numbers added to them. But what if we want to give each of these 3 instances a unique name? For example, the first instance name should be web instance, the second name should be database instance, and the third one should be DevOps instance. How we can achieve this? Let's learn how to do that. If you know how to achieve this, pause the video and be sure to share it with everyone in the comment section. So to assign different names, we can use a variable here. This variable will be of list type and we will use it to provide the instance names so that each instance has a different names. Let's go ahead and do this once so that it becomes clearer and easier to understand. First, let's declare a variable. We will name it instance_name. The type of this variable will be a list of strings, and within its default, we will provide 3 values. We want to name the first instance web instance, second one DB instance, and the third one DevOps instance. After declaring the variable, let's go back to our EC2 instance configuration file where we will use it within the instance name. To use it, we will write var.instanceName, which is the name of our variable. Since this variable is a list variable, we will need to use square brackets and specify the index number to access the elements in that list. As the index numbers also starts from 0 and our count.index value is also 0, so let's go ahead and use count.index inside the square brackets. It's possible that you might find this a bit unclear. So let's go over this again. So our count equals to 3, which means this particular resource block will run 3 times. In the first case, the value of count will be 1. In the second case, it will be 2. And in the last case, it will be 3. Now, within each case, the count.index value will be different. In the first case, it will be 0. In the second case, it will be 1. And in the third case, it will be 2. As we are fetching the instance name from a variable called var.instanceName, which is a list, we provide an index number inside that list to access its elements. Here we can replace the index number with count.index since it also starts from 0. In the list, the 0th element corresponds to our web instance. So our first instance will be named web instance, the second one will be named DB instance, and the third one will be named DevOps instance. Now, I hope this is clear to you. If you still have any doubts, please don't hesitate to let us know in the comment section. Let's go ahead and save this file and run Terraform plan to see how the results are coming out. Now, this time, when you run the Terraform plan command, you will see that once again we are creating 3 instances, all with the type T2 micro. However, this time, all 3 instances have completely different names. These names are the ones we provided in the list. The first instance is named Web instance, the second one is DB instance, and the third one is DevOps instance. So, using the count parameter, we have successfully created 3 instances from the same resource code, and we have assigned different names to each of them. You will find this code in our GitHub repository, and I will share the link in the description box. Take a look at the code, practice it by yourself, and learn how the count parameter works. If you have understood today's concept, here is a small assignment for you. Just like we created 3 different instances and assigned them different names, I want you to assign different instance types to these 3 instances. For this, you will need to define another variable, and we want the instance type to be T2 nano for the web instance, T2 micro for the DB instance, and T2 small for the DevOps instance. So make sure you complete this assignment. In the GitHub repository, where you will find today's code, you will also find a folder for assignments. You need to complete this assignment by creating a pull request. I strongly encourage you to do this assignment because practice is the key to master Terraform and understand each concept thoroughly. I will share the link to the assignment submission folder in the description box. From there, you can get more details about the assignment and submit your work. So make sure to complete your assignment, as practicing is the best way to learn how Terraform works and to master its concepts. I hope you have learned a lot today about count and count.index. Practice each concept on your own, and if you have any doubts, please don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. If you found this video informative, please like and share it with as many people as possible to support our DevOps Pro English channel. This way, we can continue creating informative videos for you. With that, we conclude this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.